Ready to dive deep into charisma and confidence. We've got some awesome books lined up on charisma, communication, psychology, even neuroscience, all to help you navigate those tricky conversations.
Oh, I love this topic.
Right. We're talking killer first impressions, winning people
Yeah.
over, even like apologies that actually work.
Totally. And the coolest part, a lot of these techniques start with mastering your own, internal state before you even say a word.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got to tackle those inner obstacles first. And our sources suggest we start by reframing how we think about discomfort,
Hmm.
in those social situations.
Yeah, so many people beat themselves up over feeling anxious or embarrassed.
Oh, totally.
But the thing is, according to Olivia Cabane and the charisma myth, those feelings that are not only normal, they're like part of our brain's survival mechanism. It's just that ancient wiring misfiring in modern settings.
So instead of, oh no, I'm so awkward, it's more like, thanks, brain, for trying to protect me from imaginary saber-toothed tigers.
Exactly. Instead of judging those feelings, just, acknowledge them. Don't attach a negative label.
So, like, let's say you're feeling, I don't know, ashamed for eating a candy bar.
Yeah.
Don't spiral. Just recognize it's a feeling, not a reflection of your worth as a person.
Totally. And this actually ties into something I found fascinating in The Upward Spiral by Alex Korb, the neuroscientist.
Oh, yeah, I love that book.
He talks about how our brains have this negativity bias. Like we're wired to focus on the negative and kind of overlook the positive, and that can lead to this downward spiral, self-doubt, anxiety, all that.
Ugh, the worst. So how do we combat that negativity bias?
Well, one technique is to consciously, shift our focus. Like imagine your negative thoughts are coming from a radio, just turn down the volume.
I like that.
Another thing, taming your gremlin suggests considering the absolute worst case scenario. Often you'll realize, even if it happens, you'll survive.
Right. It's like taking control of the story instead of letting our fears go wild.
Exactly.
But what about those times when we're facing a situation that actually feels intimidating? Like, how do we rewrite that reality?
Visualization is a really powerful tool for that.
Oh, okay, like athletes use to improve performance.
Exactly. You can use it to reprogram your brain for confidence. Instead of dwelling on things going wrong, visualize them going right.
So if I'm, say, dreading a presentation, I should picture myself nailing it, feeling confident.
Exactly. Feel your posture shift. Hear your voice resonate with strength. See the audience engaged, receptive.
Wow, the more vividly I can imagine it, the more my brain believes it's real.
Right. You're creating new neural pathways that support that outcome you want.
That's wild. Mental rehearsal for success.
Totally. Now, remember Mary, the graphic designer from our outline? The one who got amazing feedback but fixated on one negative comment?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of letting that one comment, derail her confidence, she could use visualization to rewrite the experience. Picture that client expressing appreciation, emphasizing the positives.
Oh, I see. Shifting her emotional
Right.
state, reclaiming her confidence.
Exactly. And think about it, this isn't limited to professional stuff. Have you ever felt tension in a colleague's voice, immediately assumed the worst?
Oh, all the time. So easy to personalize those interactions.
Instead of letting anxiety take over, try reinterpreting. What if they're just stressed, maybe a deadline or a personal thing?
Shifting from anxiety to compassion.
Right. You instantly change your internal state. So instead of, what did I do wrong? It's more like, maybe they're just having a rough day.
That's so much more empowering. Not at the mercy of our emotions. We're taking control of how we perceive things and how we respond.
Exactly. It's about recognizing we have a choice in how we interpret any situation. And the more we practice choosing those empowering interpretations, the more natural it becomes.
It's like building a mental muscle for confidence and resilience. Okay, so we've reframed those internal obstacles. We've even rewritten reality with some visualization. But how do we translate all that into actual charisma? The kind that draws people in.
That's where cultivating specific charismatic mental states comes in. And one of the most powerful tools is surprisingly gratitude.
Gratitude. I usually associate that with journaling or meditation. Not exactly being the life of the party.
It might seem unexpected, but think about it. When you genuinely appreciate what you have, it shifts your whole energy, right? Instead of focusing on what's lacking, you radiate this sense of contentment, generosity even, and that's magnetic.
So it's not about faking happiness. It's about tapping into a genuine sense of well-being that comes from appreciation.
Exactly. Olivia Cabane in The Charisma Myth suggests a simple practice. Before a social situation, just list 3 things you're grateful for. It could be anything. A sunny day, a good cup of coffee.
Oh, I love that.
By focusing on the positive, you shift your internal state from scarcity to abundance.
And that radiates outward as warmth.
Yes. And speaking of positive emotions, our sources also talk about goodwill and compassion.
Oh, interesting.
Cultivating goodwill towards others, even strangers, can really boost your charisma. There's this visualization technique, again from the charisma myth, where you imagine people with angel wings.
Okay, that sounds a little cheesy, but I kind of get it.
It might sound silly, but it helps shift your perception, seeing people as inherently good, worthy of kindness.
It's like replacing judgment with a sense of, like, playful curiosity. I bet that makes you more approachable.
Exactly. Now, what about self-compassion? Our sources say it's the hardest type of compassion, but also crucial for warmth.
Oh, yeah, self-compassion. That's always a struggle.
You can't pour from an empty cup. Right. If you're constantly battling your inner critic, judging yourself harshly, you won't have much warmth to offer others.
True, it's easier to be compassionate to others when we're not beating ourselves up.
Yeah.
But how do we actually practice self-compassion, especially when we, make mistakes?
Tara Brach in Radical Acceptance has a great approach. Instead of denying or suppressing difficult emotions, acknowledge them, but with gentle curiosity. Notice the sensations, the thoughts, the stories you're telling yourself without judgment.
Creating a space of acceptance.
Exactly. And it's incredibly liberating. When you're not fighting your inner critic, you feel more secure, comfortable in your own skin, and that radiates as confidence, charisma even.
Okay, so we've tackled those inner obstacles, cultivated those charismatic mental states. But let's get practical. How do we put this into action? Especially when it comes to, like, making killer first impressions.
One of the most fundamental principles here is something called tribal wear.
Tribal wear. Do I need to start wearing feathers and war paint?
Haha, not quite. Think of it as the unspoken code of any social environment. You're observing the norms, the cues that signal you belong to that tribe. Whether it's a corporate boardroom or a casual gathering, are people dressed formally? What kind of language are they using?
So it's like blending in to stand out.
Yeah.
You don't have to change who you are, but being mindful of those cues puts people at ease.
Exactly. For example, imagine you're a salesperson for, say, IBM, known for their conservative culture. If you walk into a meeting wearing a tie-dye shirt,
Oh, yeah, not a good look.
right, you're likely to raise eyebrows, create a disconnect. Now imagine that same salesperson wearing a classic navy blue suit, like their clients typically wear. It creates instant familiarity. It signals, I'm one of you, I understand your world.
It's subtle, but powerful.
Exactly. Now what about those one-on-one interactions, like meeting someone new at a networking event?
Okay, yeah.
Mastering the handshake is key. Our sources really emphasize how powerful that nonverbal signal is. It can convey warmth, confidence, even dominance in seconds.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely experienced both good and bad handshakes. What makes a killer handshake?
First, avoid the extremes. A dead fish, handshake, limp and lifeless conveys weakness. On the other hand, a knuckle cruncher can be aggressive. Overbearing, even.
So finding that middle ground.
Yeah.
Firm, but not crushing.
Right. Aim for a firm, web-to-web grip. Shake from the elbow, not the wrist. And here's a pro tip. If you want to convey extra warmth, linger a moment longer than usual. It shows you're genuinely engaged.
Like a handshake hug.
Exactly. Okay, so we've nailed the handshake. How do we keep the conversation going, make a lasting impression?
Yeah, what's next?
One of the most effective ways is by asking open-ended questions. Questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. Invite the other person to open up, share their thoughts.
So instead of, do you enjoy your work? It's more like, what's the most rewarding aspect of your job?
Exactly. It encourages them to elaborate, share their passion, which is way more engaging than a one-word answer. And another tip from the charisma myth, focus on positive subjects. Instead of what are the biggest challenges you're facing, try what are you most excited about right now?
I see. By focusing on the positive, you're more likely to elicit positive emotions, and those emotions get associated with you.
Exactly. It's about creating a positive, uplifting experience. Now, speaking of positive experiences, our sources emphasize delivering high value in our communication.
What does that mean exactly?
It means making sure your interactions are either entertaining, informative, or evoke positive emotions. Think about it. People constantly evaluate if an interaction is worth their time.
So we need to give them something in return. A good laugh, useful information, a feeling of connection.
Right. It's not just being charming, it's adding value to their life.
And how do we do that?
One way is by speaking in pictures. using vivid language metaphors. Instead of, this product is very efficient, you could say, this product will save you so much time, you'll feel like you added an extra hour to your day.
Oh, that's so much better. It paints a picture, makes the benefit tangible.
Exactly. Remember the example about Steve Jobs comparing the iPod Nano's weight to 8 quarters?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect example of speaking in pictures. Concise, memorable, instantly conveys the message.
Okay, so we've covered tribalware, handshakes, open-ended questions, speaking in pictures. But what about body language? Our sources really highlight nonverbal communication.
Absolutely. Our words convey information, but our body language speaks to the emotional mind. It can override our words completely. There was this study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. They found that negative performance reviews, but delivered with positive body language, were better received than positive reviews delivered with negative body language.
So even if we say all the right things, our body language can totally betray us.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful techniques for building rapport, influencing others, is mirroring.
Mirroring, like imitating someone's every move, like a mime.
Not quite. It's about subtly matching their body language.
Yep.
Posture, gestures, even their tone of voice.
So if they lean forward, I should lean forward too.
Yes, but subtly. Don't make it obvious. Mirroring activates mirror neurons in our brains, the ones responsible for empathy and connection. When someone sees their behavior reflected back, it creates familiarity, trust.
It's like speaking the same nonverbal language, creating a sense of harmony. But what if someone is giving off negative body language, like crossed arms, tense posture? Do we mirror that too?
That's a great question. If someone is closed off, mirroring initially can help establish rapport, but then you want to gradually lead them to a more open posture as you speak.
Gently guiding them towards a more positive state, just by shifting our own body language.
Exactly. For example, if they're talking with their arms crossed, mirror that at first, then slowly uncross your arms as you continue talking. If they mirror your open posture, you've successfully shifted the energy.
It's like a nonverbal dance, leading them to a more open, receptive state.
Exactly. And sometimes you need to break that body language lock by giving them something to do. Hand them a document to look at, a pen to write with. Anything that interrupts that negative posture and opens them up physically can also shift their emotional state.
Using physical cues to nudge them towards a more positive mindset.
Mm.
Brilliant. Now, what about projecting power, confidence? Our sources talk about taking up space.
Think of the classic power pose. Standing tall, hands on your hips, taking up as much space as possible.
So I need to channel my inner silverback gorilla before a big meeting.
Haha, not necessarily a full-on gorilla impersonation, but you get the idea. It's about owning your presence, projecting confidence through your posture. And it's not just appearances. Research shows that when people do these expansive poses, their assertiveness levels actually increase. And their energy-promoting hormones go up, while anxiety hormones decrease.
Wow, so just by standing tall, taking up space, we trigger a physiological change that makes us feel more confident.
Exactly. This applies to more subtle stuff too, like stillness, excessive fidgeting, head bobbing, all that can undermine your authority, make you seem less confident.
It's about finding that balance between being expressive and composed.
Right. Think of a judge delivering a verdict. They don't pace around or fidget. Their stillness conveys authority, commands respect.
Like the stillness of a mountain, unwavering.
Exactly. And I think this applies to those little verbal reassurances as well.
You mean like uhs and head nods while someone's talking?
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I'm always worried about seeming disinterested if I'm not constantly nodding along.
I know what you mean. We think we're showing we're listening, but it can backfire. Overusing those reassurances can make you seem insecure, needy, like you're trying too hard.
So we're actually undermining our credibility.
Exactly. Aim for a calm, attentive presence. Eye contact, occasional nods. But skip those excessive reassurances.
Let our presence speak for itself.
Exactly. And when it comes to those dreaded, difficult conversations, all these principles become even more important.
Difficult conversations. Those are the real charisma tests.
Yeah.
What do our sources say about navigating those?
One key principle is context. Just like you dress differently for a board meeting versus a barbecue, you adjust your communication style.
So if I'm delivering bad news, I need to be mindful of my timing, location, even body language.
Absolutely. And in those stressful situations, remember, our body language shikes louder than our words. When that fight or flight response kicks in, the primal part of our brain takes over. And it's more tuned into nonverbal cues than language.
So even if our words are carefully chosen, our body language could escalate things.
Exactly. So it's crucial to convey warmth, empathy, through your body language, tone of voice, and words. Show genuine concern, understanding. It creates a sense of safety, trust, even when the message is tough.
Like building a bridge, even when delivering bad news.
Exactly. What about giving constructive criticism? Our sources say to focus on specific behaviors, not personal traits.
Makes sense. Less likely to trigger defensiveness.
Right. Instead of, you're always so disorganized. I noticed the report wasn't filed on time. Can we talk about what happened?
Focusing on the behavior, not the person.
Right. Now, what about apologies? There's some great advice on how to make them really land.
Ooh, I need help with apologies.
One of the biggest things is to be fully present when someone's expressing their grievance. Listen without interrupting. Make sure they feel heard before offering explanations or defenses.
It's about acknowledging the impact, not just saying, I'm sorry, and moving on.
Exactly. And when you do apologize, make sure it's a true apology, not just placating them. Convey sincerity, genuine remorse.
Taking responsibility, showing you care.
Right. And finally, show you're serious about making amends. Outline the steps you'll take to fix the mistake or prevent it from happening again.
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. So it's owning up to mistakes, showing empathy, and taking concrete action to rebuild trust.
These principles seem so valuable for face-to-face stuff. But what about, like, phone calls or emails? Those feel less personal.
You'd be surprised. The principles of charismatic communication apply to those seemingly impersonal interactions too.
Really? We can inject charisma into an email.
Absolutely. For example, before an important phone call, try visualization. Imagine yourself embodying the qualities you want to project. Warmth, confidence, assertiveness. Get into that mental state so the right words and tone flow naturally.
Setting the stage, priming our minds.
Exactly. Now, during the call itself, always be mindful of their time. Start by asking, is this a good time? Before launching into your spiel.
Oh, such a simple courtesy, but so important.
Right. It shows respect. Make sure they're receptive.
What about email? How do we make those more charismatic?
Our sources emphasize brevity and clarity. People are drowning in emails. Make yours stand out by delivering value, but concisely.
Respect their attention. Make sure it's worth their time to read.
Exactly. And remember, everything we've talked about for in-person charisma applies to digital too. Pay attention to your tone, use vivid language, deliver high value.
So whether we're interacting face-to-face or online, the principles stay the same. Be mindful of the impact we have on others, cultivate warmth and authenticity, and add value to their lives.
This deep dive has been like jam-packed, from the psychology behind charisma to, actual techniques for body language, communication.
Right. It's like we've got this blueprint now for being more confident, magnetic,
Yeah.
in any situation.
And what's so cool is it's not like charisma is this thing you're born with or not.
Exactly. It's not like some magical gift. It's a skill set.
Yeah.
Tools, techniques. Anyone can develop them. With practice and awareness, of course.
That's what I love about this. It's not about faking it, putting on an act. It's about being your authentic self, but expressing those qualities, more effectively.
Exactly. Refining, amplifying the charisma we all have in us already. And you don't have to, like, completely change overnight. Start small.
Yeah.
1 or 2 adjustments that resonate with you.
Yeah, like practicing that power pose or being more mindful of her tone on the phone. Even just like trying to listen more without interrupting. Perfect examples. Even those small changes, if you do them consistently, they can make a huge difference.
It takes the pressure off, makes it feel, actually doable.
Totally. And, one thing that really stuck with me was even those everyday things, emails, phone calls, they can have charisma too.
Right. It's like bringing that same intention to all our communication, no matter the medium.
Exactly. Being present, engaged, even in those like quick little interactions.
This has been fantastic, and I know our listeners are taking away tons of great stuff. But before we go, I want to leave everyone with a little challenge. What one small adjustment to your body language or communication will you try today, just to boost your charisma?
It could be anything. Practice that firm handshake. Visualize yourself as the big gorilla, owning the room. Experiment. See what feels natural to you.
Exactly. And remember, small changes can have big impact. Keep exploring, keep practicing, and most importantly, have fun. The more you enjoy it, the more that natural charisma will shine through. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep shining.